You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Shawn Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. I'm super excited about today's guest. I met Dr. G last week, and now we're talking to him this week. Ivan, go ahead and get us started.
Yeah, I'm Ivan Zach. Really excited to introduce a colleague of mine, Dr. Gonzalo Erdozain. Dr. Gonzalo is a founder and CEO of Scout. Also, he's working at Kansas City Veterinary Care as a general practitioner and totally biased towards surgery. Before going back to vet school for the DVM and MPH, Dr. Gonzalo completed a BFA in digital arts at Kansas State 3D animation and digital design were his passion back then. Dr. Gonzalo was born in Argentina, grew up in Paraguay, and has been in the US for 23 years. Welcome to the show, Dr. Gonzalo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, very unusual and interesting background, which clearly leads to creating wonderful products. Dr. Gonzalo, tell us about Scout. So, it seems like it's a newer product on the market, and I'm very excited to hear about it. What does it do?
Sure. So Scout is a web-based application, a SaaS product. I've sort of been thinking about it for years and years. The finished product obviously is replacing your dental charting and anesthesia paper forms. So we can take care of everything from the entire dental charting procedure, your anesthetic planning, so all your calculations, physical exam, and all the requirements to stay AHA compliant, for example. And then we also take care of the monitoring. So we can take care of that anesthetic episode from start to finish. And really the goal was to make life easier, right? We're trying to speed things up, get rid of those time consuming paper forms, but also make it available to as many people as possible. And so by making it web-based, we've managed to introduce it to any hospital without them having to buy new hardware.
That's amazing. If you were to compare the product to other products in the market, is there anything out there that's similar?
Not right now. When I was doing the research, I know that SmartFlow came up. That was the one application that had certain overlap. The way that I differentiated was I'm really focusing on one thing and one thing only. I want to get that anesthesia, planning, monitoring, and dental charting done. I don't want to replace the whole management or hospitalization software. So to my knowledge, we are the only ones out there with this functionality, but I could be wrong.
That's really cool. So you said you've been thinking about this for years. Let's dig into that a little bit. So when did the thought first come to you, and why did it take you so long to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated from vet school in 2014 after I had been done with the design, animation, and marketing world. And when I got to practice, I figured we have computers. It's a new century, and we here doing and using paper forms for all these things. So I developed a spreadsheet. I could calculate all my drugs. I then expanded it to allow our surgical team to monitor. So I had all the calculations, for oxygen and fluids, but also input that data in a quick and legible way. And then eventually I was like, well, what's the next step? Well, we need dental charting. We're still doing that on paper and sticky notes. So why not? And so I worked on that spreadsheet for the past 6 years. We've been refining it and ultimately led to the application Scout. And really the why it took so long, I think it's something that applies to a lot of startups and entrepreneurs. It's how do you get from that idea to a finished product? And for me, it was time and money. I had just graduated from vet school. I had a newborn. Obviously, money, it's not, we don't have extra money to be spending on development and all this stuff. And last year, finally, one thing led to another. I met the right people, the right support. We were able to raise some money. We got the app ready, developed in about 3.5 months and launched it. So that's sort of how it came to be.
That's so awesome. And I mean, this is just makes me smile because this is so close to the functionality that we developed at SmartFlow, and very much needed, I think. And then with what I know from SmartFlow Destiny, I think that you probably don't have any competition at this point, and it's very much needed. So essentially, I'll just interpret it to what I'm looking at the screen. So this is essentially a digital anesthetic sheet, which you can track the all the parameters on the screen, and then instead of recording it on the anesthetic sheet, which is usually the messiest and the most hated document, at least in my world, then it creates it into this wonderful charting that is very nicely plotted onto the computer screen. And then also, I assume there's some calculations so you can prepare your pre-med and induction agents and have all of that documented as well. What is the big dream? Where is the product going? Because when we started with SmartFlow, I was replacing just one document. It was treatment sheet. And then we went from there and I was like, well, treatment sheet, it would be nice to know which patient needs the treatment. So let's do a whiteboard. And then from whiteboard, what is the next document that we use a lot? Oh, it's an anesthetic sheet. So what is, and the dental was the next thing. They did develop that while being at IDEX. And I think they did a pretty good job. But what is the big sort of product roadmap? What are you trying to build? And what's the big dream in 5 years from now?
So hopefully, again, we'll get rid of all those paper forms. In a perfect world, we're not doing that anymore. Again, it's antiquated. I don't think it's safe. So that would be one little step, but I do see this growing into a full comprehensive dental charting platform as well. I want to be able to not only chart dental procedures, but I want to be able to see my before and after pictures, which we already have. But nowadays we're doing digital x-rays, we're doing CT scans at every dental. So getting all that information into one document that then the team can easily access. We're not having to be digging around. Now, again, hopefully through integration, we can still allow the hospitals and doctors to use whatever application or hardware they have. But by putting it all in one record, I feel like it'll make our life easier. So hopefully in 5 years, we are just using this for when it comes to planning and monitoring. And then any dental procedure that needs to be done should be able to be charted and recorded on this application.
That's amazing. So nice to see you've got a big, bold vision. The word integration came up in that vision, and it's something that we've talked about many times in the show. And I think Ivan lived a life of maybe 100,000 cuts when it came to integration. But what's that been like so far? Have you started down that road, or is it still too early?
I've tried. So my original plan was to get integration with hospital management software because that's where I'm trying to get that information back and forth to make the surgical team's life easier, right? If I can get that patient and client information and then send it back, we are cutting even one more step out of the equation. I found that it takes a lot of time, to be honest. In the time that I've been waiting to hear back from any of the big companies, we literally develop and release the app. And so I know there's alternative ways of maybe getting third parties involved, which I'm looking into, but I'm not going to hold my breath in that regards. I'm looking already at integrating with dental x-ray hardware and software and monitoring hardware monitoring machines that I can actually connect directly to Scout. And then we would leave it up to that surgical team to decide, do they want that level of automation, or do they still like having an anesthetist literally looking at those numbers and entering them in there? But again, when I talk integration, I wanted to be integrated with as many things as possible, not just management software, but X-ray, CT scanner, imaging, monitoring, all those things also come into play.
If I were to give you any advice on the integration, is don't integrate anything that writes back. Like, this is the hardest thing in the industry. If you need to get patient information or anything like that, that's probably easier, but writing back is just a nightmare. So other than attaching the sheets maybe to a proper visit, anything else is sort of the mountain that you don't want to climb. It's just sort of my suggestion. So who do you think are the main users for your software? So right now there's a bunch of people listening. They're like, I would like to check it out. Is it for a big surgical center? Is it for any GP that does any sort of anesthesia or dentals, or or is it more specialized? And what kind of equipment does it need to be? So you said it's web based, but does it mean that I can? Is there an app? Can I run it on the iPad, or can I open it just from my iPad or whatever the tablet I have, and do sort of? Do I have to use a mouse to record things, or can I just tap on the things? Just tell us a little bit about the specs.
So definitely the application itself, it's targeting any small animal hospital that is doing surgery. So right now we limit it as a starting point to small animals only. In the future, we may expand to large animals. I've had a few colleagues and classmates that have asked about equine functionality, so that's in the future. But really anything from the single practitioner to large hospitals, we are prepared to handle as many team members as needed. Now, when it comes to the application's functionality, it is a true SaaS application that you can open up on any browser. So at the conference, I had my laptop and two iPads, and they were all running from that web browser version. We are also developing native iOS and Android versions for the iPads, because that in the future would allow us to maybe have slightly different interactions and functionalities. But for the time being, you can do everything from that web browser version. So if you're interacting with a laptop, you will be using your mouse and double clicking on things. If you're using the iPad, you'll be like double tapping on a tooth to bring the details page, or typing information on the keyboard as you go.
So pretty big market. Lots of people doing surgeries out there. Lots of people with those messy forms. Let's talk about price. How much does it cost if somebody wants to use this application?
Yeah, definitely. So we've, through some research and attending conferences, we finally narrowed down. Again, it is a learning experience after all, but we're talking about three main plans. So we have the smallest plan, which is up to 10 users, and that will be $295 a month. And then the middle plan will be 11 to 20 users for $395 a month. And then the last one will be the sort of the largest that we have officially on our website, up to 30 users for $495 a month. And then obviously like a yearly subscription paid up front will give you a bit of a discount for every plan. So signing up for the full year and paying up front will bring those plans down by about $30. So about $265 a month starting for that smallest plan.
And if people are like, holy moly, this is something I've been waiting for my whole veterinary career, and they want to go buy it right now, can they do that right on your website? And how do they do that?
Yes, so they can go to the website, scoutapp.vet, or they can contact me directly, really, at Gonzalo Erdozain at ddmsolutions.biz. But even on the website, they'll have a little questionnaire that they can provide more information, like hospital name, hospital size, and that will get them in contact directly with me, and they will get an email from me. So one of the good things about being a startup is that I'm sort of doing those things. They will get direct line of communication with me. Now, the bad part is that they are connected with me. So, but no, they can go there, they can peruse the site, they can send me an email or fill out one of those forms, and we can get the hospital set up in a matter of minutes.
We always love talking to people that are in practice, that have created a solution, because I'm sure you're using it. You're probably not using your spreadsheet anymore. And you probably have lots of friends and colleagues that are using your tool already. What are people saying about the experience? What's the feedback that you're getting so far?
So far, so good. I always had it hard to take in compliments. So when somebody says something nice, I get all weird and awkward. But at WBC, people were like, I mean, this is the best looking app I've seen in a while. And then some people were starting to use it. They just grabbed the iPad and used it. They didn't need explanations or anybody showing them to use. And that, to me, it's really what we're going for. I mean, it's great to see that people get it right away. There's no training involved. And the fact that it's just speeding up their process by up to 50% at least, it's just, to me, it's all worth it. I cannot even think about ever going back to using paper. I mean, I don't know how, I guess.
You just reminded me about the So I do know the better looking software, but that's argument for argument's sake. That's probably, I would say, SmartFlow once, but so the cool thing about the anesthetic sheet. So this is just a story. So my son, when he was like, I don't know, he was like 4, I think 3 or 4, he needed a bunch of teeth to be done. So he was under general anesthetic. And then I'm at the dentist. So my wife is next to us. Our son is under general anesthesia. I pull out the iPad and start showing the anesthesiologist the app on SmartFlow on anesthesia. And we're starting to have this conversation. And he was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. Can you bring it into dentistry? And can you bring it to to the human medicine? It was just funny how, it's so cool when you see people resonate with your product, and when you're actually something you thought of and now it's functional, people totally tune in and really love it. So I know the feeling. It's really awesome. Congratulations on getting that product market fit. That's what it is. That's what it feels like. And then, so where do people go to find your product? And you mentioned already that they sign up and then you do the demos. It is a luxury of a startup. It's also a disadvantage of a startup because you are the guy in support, demo,
Yeah.
and customer success. So where can people find the product, and how do they engage with it? And is there a demo available? All of that good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So they can go to the website scoutapp.vet. There's again some information there, and they can sign up for a demo. That will go straight to me, and I will set up that demo with them. If they want to skip the demo and they feel comfortable enough, we could set up a trial account for them. But I would still need hospital name and then some information to set up that account manager for that hospital. And then that account manager will set up the users for that hospital.
That's amazing. Dr. G, it's been a pleasure to have you. Every week that we have these recordings, we run out of time, but super excited about what you're doing. We have 2 questions that we like to wrap up every episode with. First one is YouTube, TED Talk, a book, something that you found inspiring that you'd like to share with our guests.
Yeah, so one of the first books that I read as I started the entrepreneurship route was The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and that really resonated.
Love it.
Yep. And so if you're out there thinking about doing something like this, definitely read that one first.
That's really. I found recently a book but I went into the bookstore, and I don't know how I didn't know about Lean Startup and Eric Ries, but I bought 2 books when we started the startup. I was a vet just like yourself, and then going into the software development. One, I didn't know if apps at that time, it was like 2012. Like, how do you go about it? And the first book was how to make money building apps. So I think it worked. And then the second one was Eric Ries. So I was very lucky to bump into it, and it's an awesome book. So highly recommend it to everybody who's in startup world. And the second question that we ask, is there another guest that you would recommend visiting us here at this show?
Yeah, again, being a bit biased towards surgery, I do love Dr. Charles Kuntz out of Australia. He posts a lot of informational surgical videos on YouTube, and now they have their own website, Vet Dojo, and I just feel like what he's doing, getting that surgical procedure out there for everybody to be able to watch him and sort of take the mythic aspect of it away. It's really cool.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryin.podcast.com. See you next week.